All right, let's talk about one of the most incredible investment journeys you'll ever see. But this isn't just a story about PCs. Nope. This is about how a teenager completely upended an entire industry, how his company literally vanished from Wall Street, only to come back stronger than ever, and how it quietly became a pillar of the entire cloud era. Just just look at that number for a second. If you had the foresight to put just $1,000 into Dell's IPO way back in 1988, you could be looking at over $1.5 million today. That's just an absolutely staggering return on investment. So that's really the big question we're going to unpack here. How on earth did this happen? How did a company famous for beige computer boxes manage to transform itself, go private, pull off a mega merger, and pivot so hard that it became the giant it is today? To get it, we have to start at the very beginning. Chapter 1, The Rise of the Disruptor. And believe me, this is a classic story that, and I mean this literally, starts in a university dorm room. I mean, the sheer audacity of this story is just incredible. Michael Dell was only 19 years old when he founded the company, and just 4 years later, by 1988, it went public with an $85 million valuation. That hypothetical $1,000 of yours, it would have bought you about 118 shares. And here, right here, was Dell's secret sauce. See, the rest of the industry was stuck in this old model with retailers and warehouses. Dell came along and built a revolution on a simple idea: sell directly to the customer. No warehouses full of dusty, unsold computers. Everything was made to order, and those savings were passed right on to you, the buyer. It was absolutely genius. And that model worked. Oh boy, did it work. Dell just grew faster than the giants of the time, Compaq, IBM, HP. And within a single decade, it wasn't some scrappy startup anymore. It was the #1 PC maker in the entire United States. So what did all that incredible growth do for our little investment? Well, by 1998, that initial $1,000 had already exploded to $50,000. But the story was really just getting started, and the first major storm was brewing right on the horizon. And that incredible growth leads us right into Chapter 2, a period of, well, struggle and stagnation. The dot-com bust was coming, and Dell was about to face its first real test, not as a startup, but as a market leader. You can see the roller coaster right here on this chart. I mean, at the absolute peak of the dot-com bubble, our investment soared past 100 grand. But when that bubble burst, it took a major hit. And then came these brutal price wars with competitors like HP, which led to this long period where the stock just kind of went sideways. So here's the crucial point. Dell wasn't the scrappy underdog anymore. It was now the big guy, the incumbent. And with that scale came a whole new set of problems. Margins were shrinking, growth was slowing down, and it really seemed like the company had lost its innovative spark. Something big had to change. And that brings us to maybe the most dramatic turning point in this entire story. Chapter 3, The Great Reinvention. Michael Dell was about to make a move that would totally shock the tech world. $24 billion. That's what Michael Dell and his private equity partners paid to buy his own company back and take it completely off the stock market. His whole vision was to reinvent Dell far away from the constant short-term pressures of Wall Street. And while it was private, Dell made its biggest move ever, a $67 billion acquisition of EMC, a true titan in the data storage world. This was the clearest signal you could get. Dell was thinking way beyond the personal computer. And just like that, a totally new company was born, Dell Technologies. This wasn't about laptops and desktops anymore. This was about powering the entire back end of our digital world, everything from massive data centers to the cloud. It was a complete and total identity shift. Now, the crown jewel of that whole EMC deal was a company called VMware. You can think of it as Dell's new secret weapon. It's the software that lets huge companies modernize their old, clunky IT systems, making them super efficient and ready for the cloud. It was absolutely pivotal. Okay, so after years of rebuilding behind the scenes, it was time for Chapter 4, The Return of the Giant. Dell was coming back to the public markets, but not in any way that anyone expected.
The new Dell that reappeared in 2018 was just an absolute powerhouse. It had massive cash flow, a hugely diversified lineup of products, and as it turned out, it was perfectly positioned for the pandemic. I mean, when the whole world went remote, Dell shipped millions and millions of devices, and its revenues just soared past $90 billion. And what did that do for our very patient investment? It rocketed up to over $300,000. The massive bet to go private, rebuild from the inside out, and come back, well, it had paid off. Big time. This brings us to our final chapter, and it focuses on the one person who was there through it all, Michael Dell, and his truly, truly unprecedented journey. I mean, seriously, just look at this path for a second. How many founders take their company public, then take it private, then execute one of the biggest mergers in history, then relist it on the stock market, and then pull off a massive spinoff, all while staying in charge the entire time? It's a one-of-a-kind story in business history. Ultimately, I think Michael Dell's journey is just solid proof that a long-term vision and quiet, steady persistence can absolutely triumph over those short-term, hype-driven cycles that we see all the time in the tech world. And this story is not over, not by a long shot. Today, Dell is a key player in the next massive technological shift, working with companies like NVIDIA to provide the essential data center gear that is literally powering the AI revolution. And that brings us right back to where we started. That $1,000 bet on a 19-year-old kid in a dorm room. An investment held all the way through the dot-com bust, the brutal price wars, the privatization, and the reinvention, is now worth over $1.5 million. Which really just leaves us with one last fascinating question to think about. Knowing all the twists and turns, all those moments of doubt and stagnation, would you have had the persistence to actually hold on through all those reboots?